year yet. For some of you, that fills you with excitement. For others, it's going to fill you with dread. Because you're thinking, sugar, been there, done that, heard it all, and I'm in the same boat I was 12 months ago. Am I right? Yeah. Do you know, I recently celebrated my 16th anniversary with Forever. It's a long time. I feel like I need to drop a decade somewhere along there. And when I stop and think about, in fact, when I tell my story, when I'm doing a one-to-one or a tabletop business presentation, when I hear myself, it really does sound too good to be true. And when I think about just how much mine and my family's life has changed in that 16 years, well, I'm unrecognizable as an individual. I bear almost no resemblance to the person I was when I first started with Forever 16 years ago. And our quality of life bears no resemblance to what it was 16 years ago. And yet, I think about success, and I think about goals, and I think about having your best year yet. And why is it not everybody achieves the same level of success? Why is it some people get stuck at assistant supervisor? Why is it some people get stuck at supervisor, assistant manager, manager, and they feel like they're on a hamster wheel? I'm sure I'm not the only person who's got that question racing around in her head, am I? Who else has thought that? What are those other people doing that I'm not doing? Who has ever had that thought? Look at that, almost everybody. And you know what? I sometimes still think that. What on earth is that person doing that I'm not doing? You know, I joined Forever in October 2001. I got to supervisor very quickly. I got stuck as supervisor for 8 months. And one of the turning points in my business was taking responsibility. I had to look in the mirror and accept that I wasn't doing everything I was being coached to do. I was cherry-picking the activity. And I committed at that moment that going forward I would do absolutely everything I was being coached to do, no matter how much I hated it, how much out of my comfort zone it was, how weird I thought it was, I was going to do it. And as a result of that, I went manager in the next 16 weeks, went on to achieve senior manager in the next year, and so within 2.5 years of starting my Forever business, I had my first £5,000 a month bonus check. And I was at home with a 3-year-old and a newborn baby. And my career with Forever has gone on to develop and progress, and we live an incredible life today. We've been on car plan for 13 years. From that one incentive, I worked out £88,000, over 35 World Rally, Global Rally, European Rally, Silver Rally, whatever, International Rally, over 35 rallies we've qualified for. We're completely independent financially, private education for our boys. We have a really good quality of life, we have real peace of mind. And when I think back to those first 8 months when I was nowhere, and the doubt and the lack of self-belief, and the real turning point was this idea of setting a goal and setting a goal properly. And I've embraced that and have followed that for the last 15 years. And when I think about, the 3 things that I believe successful people do very well, not perfectly, but well, and they've developed the disciplines, is they manage their time, they stay focused, and they take massive action. Now, at face value, you're all saying, yeah, well, I knew that already. Tell me something I didn't know. Well, I'm going to take you on a little journey with me. Because if everybody was doing that the way it was intended, we'd all be quadruple diamond centurion managers, wouldn't we? Very early on in my Forever career, I came across these statistics. And I hope that they shock you as much as they shocked me. Because it shocked me into getting off my backside and doing what I needed to do. And I've researched these numbers right across the Western world. I've compared the figures for Europe versus North America versus global, and they're all directionally accurate. And this set of statistics shows that for every 100 people who reach the age of 65, 47% are broke and dependent on other people. For every 100 people who reach the age of 65, 35% barely survive. So 80%, 80 out of 100 people at the age of 65 are either broke or barely surviving. Only 17% are classified as wealthy, and wealthy simply being defined as your house is paid and your car is paid. And blow me away, only 3% are classified as rich. And I was shocked because I thought, certainly where I come from, very traditional working class family, there was never anything extra. My parents worked a lot longer than just 40 years. But if you say, on average, someone will work 40 years, they'll start work at 25 and they'll retire at 65. My observation is most people will actually work 50 years, but this is based on an example of 40. How is it you can work 40 or 50 years to end up broke, barely surviving, or dependent on other people? Doesn't that shock you? Because I bet if we were to give them a little questionnaire to fill in and ask them, did they plan when they were 17 or 25 years old to work the next 40 years to be broke or barely surviving? Do they not have dreams? Do they not have ambitions? And I'm not even talking about, change the world dreams or change the world ambitions. I'm talking about how about just putting food on the table without having to look at the price tag every time you want to buy a pint of milk kind of dreams and quality of life. So how is it 80% of the people end up where they are? Broke, dependent on others, when everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. And if you relate that and layer that over the Forever marketing plan, why is it everybody is not Centurion Manager? Or why is it people get stuck along the way? Because we all have the same marketing plan. We all have the same product offering. We all have the same company support. We all have the same 24 hours. But if you imagine, if you are still in a job, most people when they start Forever are still in a job. Of that 24 hours, you need to dedicate 8 of that hours to your job. You need to sleep, so we say 8 hours goes towards sleep. And I don't know about you, but certainly for me, I can go maybe 2 or 3 nights with a few hours sleep, but by about day 4, my family are telling me to go to sleep because I'm unbearable to live with. So 8 hours work, 8 hours sleep, which leaves you with 8 hours to live the rest of your life and create your dreams. This is what most people do with their 8 hours of stuff. It's all the stuff we think we should be doing. All the shoulds in life. I think Britain, listen, I can say this, I'm Canadian, but I've been in the UK 22 years, so I actually feel I'm British with a Canadian accent, all right? And I'm allowed to say what I'm going to say next, don't take offense. But Britain has the highest amount of hours invested in ironing. It is a culture thing. If you go to Canada, they just do not iron the way Brits iron. I don't know what it is. If I had a magic wand, I would just get rid of all your irons. You can reinvest all that time into your Forever business. Stop buying clothes that need ironing. Stop ironing. Anyway, I digress. But am I right? Okay. So you've got 8 hours to create your dream lifestyle, but it goes into all these other things. And the reason why it goes into all these other things is because you're not clear about why you're here. When we think about life today, people are busy, busy, busy. Many people fail in life not for lack of ability or brains or even courage, but simply because they have never organized their energies around a goal. We're so busy being busy, we don't have focus, and without focus, your time isn't going in the right areas. And so to get the best of your 40 years, and listen, I've already been with Forever 16 years. Some of us are well into our 40 years of working, aren't we? So you may have 30, 20, or 10 years to create that dream lifestyle. So I'm going to give you a really simple formula that I learned that was a turning point in my business, but actually a turning point in my life. And it's something I'm very passionate about, and if you indulge me, just be open-minded to going through the exercise, I promise you, 2018 can be your best year. But if you're going to have a different year than you've had before, you're going to need to approach it in a different way. Because if you start January 2018 with the same mindset, the same approach you've got now, you're going to finish next year where you're finishing this year. So, how do we look at creating our dream life or achieving things that matter most? If you imagine you can divide your life into 3 core areas: happiness, health, and wealth. And then you can further divide those 3 core areas into 3 core areas. And listen, it's by no means a complete list. I just wanted to give you a head start, okay? Some of those topics, some of those values may not be relevant for you. You might want to swap them for something else, and you're entirely free to do that. It's an illustration. It's a guide to get you thinking. And what I encourage you to do is think through those 9 core areas of your life and identify what matters most to you. But to get really, really specific. And when I say really, really specific, well, if it's family, what does, family mean to you? For me, when I first did this exercise 15 and a half years ago, family, I was clear. I wrote down I wanted to be at every single one of my children's events. I had no idea what my children were going to go on to do. I only had one child at that time, and he was still a baby in nappies. But nonetheless, my vision was I wanted to be able to attend everything he was going to go on to do. I wanted time. What did time mean for me? I wanted to have 20 hours a week at home with my son to do the things I wanted to do, whether it was toddler group, baby group, swimming, etc. I took the time to really define what it meant for me. I wanted to have date night. I didn't want to be, just letting my marriage take a course of its own. I wanted to have a marriage that was on purpose. I wanted date night. That's what family meant to me. I wanted to be able to travel to Canada whenever I wanted to see my family there, without having to save up or wait for a flight to go on sale. It's about looking at each core area of your life and getting really, really specific, and then prioritizing them. Because when you prioritize them, it allows you to start to think about what are the first things you want to work on. What really matters most to you. So if you look at those 9 core areas of your life and you've put them in order of priority in terms of what you want them to be like, those few things start at the top of your list, become your next set of goals. Sometimes in Forever we get confused and we say the goal is manager or the goal is soaring manager. The goal ain't soaring manager. That's the how you're going to get it. The what is what it's going to give you in your personal life. I didn't join Forever to be a Sapphire manager. I joined Forever to have a 6-figure income, which allowed me to live the life I dreamed of. And I want to help you get really clear about what those things are for you. So if you identify your values, prioritize them in real detail, get really specific, and don't write a list of shoulds. More often than not, when I'm working with people and I'm talking to them and asking them about why something is important to them, they come up with a list of what I call a standard answer sheet. Think about what's really important to you So if you look at that list of 9, those top, list them in order of priority, those first few become your next set of goals. And from that, you'll be able to plan weekly and plan daily, which I'm going to show you in a second. But there's 3 parts to a goal. There's the what, the how, and the why. And normally, because of lack of skill or understanding, we tend to go from what the goal is and we jump straight into the how. And we don't give enough time to getting clear about the why. And I find if someone is stuck, I get them to go back to why that goal is important. Because you see, if the why isn't clear, the how becomes hard. If your reason for working towards whatever goal you're working towards doesn't literally move you emotionally, I can almost guarantee that you'll get stuck. That life will start to feel like a grind. That life is effortful. You see, you can be coached, you can be inspired, you can be mentored, but the only person who can motivate you is you, and motivation comes from within. And if you can take the time to do a bit of soul searching and get clear about why those goals matter most to you. And I would encourage you to have a spread of goals across the 3 core areas of your life. But think through the real deep emotional why. Why does it matter so much to you? How are you going to feel when you're going to achieve it? Does that why, that emotion, is it so strong it's going to get you out of bed half an hour earlier and keep you up late half an hour later? Jim Rohn says, when the promise is clear, the price gets easy. Let me give you an example without boring you with the details. I was working towards a goal this year, and I thought I was clear about why it was important to me. And I just kind of worked towards it in a complacent way, in a habitual way. It was just kind of something I was doing. And I got to September and I thought, you know what, I don't even know why I'm working towards this goal. It had become a should goal. It's something I should work towards. It's what's expected of me. But when you're working in that mode, I should do this, I'm supposed to be working towards this, I find it takes longer to get over disappointments. I find I dig my heels in and blame other people. I have a poor attitude. My mindset sucks. Am I the only one? I get impatient with prospects. I get impatient with customers. I get impatient with my team. I'm not my best me. And don't be fooled. The people around me can see it. I know they can. So if life feels like a grind and you're working hard but you're standing still, it means you're not working with purpose and meaning. And I took some time out and I thought I need to go back a step. I need to get really clear about why this goal is important to me, because right now I'm just doing the work. I've gone from the what to the how because I think it's what I'm supposed to be doing next. It's what I should be. It's what's expected of me. And I skipped the most important step, which is the why. It took me about 2 weeks to get really clear about why that goal was important to me. And I sat down and I redid my goal map, I redid my vision board. And you know what? In a heartbeat, everything changed. I had a good attitude. If you have a good attitude, you smile. If you're smiling and you have a good attitude, you put out good energy. What kind of people do you attract? The right people. And suddenly, it didn't matter if people said no. I got over disappointments quickly. It didn't matter if I drove an hour to do a product launch and no one turned up and drove an hour back home. It's all part and parcel. You see, when you're clear about your why you're doing it, you're happily pay the price. And you become unstoppable. Because the reality is, people don't not succeed because they're taking action and don't get the results. They're not succeeding because they stop taking the action, right? Because we're letting disappointments and excuses get in the way. But if you can tap into why it's so important to you, then when those challenges come, you'll embrace them with a smile and say, well, these are just growing pains. These growing pains are taking me to the next level. I've got to go through the growing pains to grow, to achieve my next goal. I want you to really embrace this Jim Rohn phrase, when the promise is clear, the price gets easy. The magic diesel is inside of you. Only you can come up with what is so important to you. And it takes courage to admit to yourself what you want. Because for most of us, most of our lives, we've been kind of pigeonholed into where we were going to end up and what we were going to do. Well, let me give you permission to dream as big as you want to dream, to go for whatever it is you want to go for. Because with Forever, I promise you, absolutely everything is possible. And embrace the tools. It starts with getting really clear about the why, but don't leave it there. Don't leave it here. Bring it out. Do a vision board. And these are some of the pictures from my very first dream book, way back in 2001, when I first decided I was going to take responsibility and do everything I was being shown to do. I know right now, if I went around and did a survey, at least half the people here don't have a current vision board. A quarter of you have one, but haven't looked at it for the last 6 months. And maybe another quarter of you kind of have one and kind of look at it regularly. Would I be right? Don't cherry pick. The tools are there for a reason. And for absolutely every single thing we've achieved in our personal life, in our professional life, I've had a vision board and a goal map. It works, but I'll tell you something else in a second. These are just some of the things, these are some of my whys that kept me going, that made me unstoppable, that made me work through the challenges, pushed me out of my comfort zone, pushed me to learn the skills I needed to learn, to build the confidence I needed to build. And ultimately, it was about quality of life. Coming from a childhood where it was very traditional working class. Yes, we had food on the table, and yes, we had a roof overhead, but there was nothing extra. And I did not want to live a life of only buying food when it was on sale. I wanted to live a good quality of life. I wanted to earn a multiple six-figure income. That's what I saw with Forever. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to help my extended family. Ultimately, I wanted to give my boys a better start in life than I had. Do you know what? If I had said those things out loud to my family where I come from, then I thought I'd lost a few marbles. Why? Because people like me don't live lives like that, is what they would say. And that's what they would still say. I've just come back from Canada. My lifelong girlfriend said, I still don't know how you did it. Because I was prepared to do the things that unsuccessful people are doing. Vision boards. And for me, you know, that trip there, the top left-hand corner, was in our very first dream book. So my son is just 6 or 8 months old. We wanted to do a 6-week trip. Then we thought we were going to do it in Italy, in our caravan. But we did it 5 years ago. We actually did it through North France, South France and North Spain. Now, to be able to go away for 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time, 2 or 3 times a year, is quality of life. Wouldn't you say? You know, to be able to go to nice restaurants and order the food you want and not order the food that's cheapest on the menu, that was a really big deal for me. To drive a nice car, you know, until I got to Car Plan, the most expensive car I'd ever bought, I think, was £300 or £400. life-changing. The vision boards will help keep you stay focused. They will remind you and reconnect you with that emotion. But if you haven't taken the time to get clear on those emotions in the first place, then your vision boards will very quickly just become part of the furniture. Anybody had that experience? Where you walk past it 5,000 times a day and you don't even take any notice of it, let alone it give you any feelings in your belly. Just go back a step. Get really clear. This is a goal. That's a picture of our dream book from very first dream book in the top in the middle there. It was a trip I'd always wanted to do through Alaska, train journey through Alaska, and the Gold Leaf Mountaineer through the Rocky Mountains in Western Canada. We did that trip 18 months ago. I reckon less than 0.25% of the world's Western world population will ever do that trip that we did. And what drove me all these years to be able to do something like that is I wanted to give my kids a better start in life than I had. And I was prepared to work to do it. I was prepared to overcome the challenges. It was so deeply ingrained in me to give them unique and rare experiences. I was 22 years old the first time I got on a plane. I lacked confidence. You know, if you don't go anywhere or do anything, you don't build that confidence. And I saw rare, unique experiences as a way of building their confidence and their self-esteem. To achieve that is all about forever. It's all about mindset. It's all about focus. I have to point out that whatever goal I'm working towards, I also have it as a screensaver on all my gadgets. It's also in my diary. And so the top left-hand picture, you'll see the top picture, and the right-hand side is the Alaska and Rocky Mountains trip. And that other picture is the Eagle Manager Retreat, Lake Tahoe 2014. I hate that incentive. Flippin' heck. Those of you who know me know I hate Eagle Sapphire incentive. And it would have been so easy to take the easy way out. It was handed to me on a silver platter. You don't have to achieve it, it's hard. Most people don't achieve it. And I didn't for the first 2 or 3 years. I got sucked into the easy way out. It's too hard. But that too hard mentality doesn't actually move you forward. It roots you where you are. And I have to take a step back and think about why was that goal important to me, because the trip the following year was Greece. I've been to Greece many times. I have no desire to go back to Greece. I know that Greece is some people's favorite place. It's not mine. So it wasn't the trip. I got a beautiful pin. I have a drawer full of pins. My income would go up a bit, but I already earn a ton of money. Sounds cocky, doesn't it? If my mother was here, she'd slap me probably. Do you know what? It took me a long time to get clear about why Eagle Sapphire was going to be important. It comes back to my values about integrity and authenticity and the things that matter most to me in those 9 core areas of my life. And I wanted to achieve Eagle Sapphire, not for me, I wanted to do it for my team. I wanted them to stand proud and know that just because something is hard, you don't take the easy way out. You figure out how to do it. I wanted them to feel proud to be part of a group, an elite group, of a handful of people around the world who had achieved that. You could only achieve that as a whole team pulling together. That was my driving force, and I can tell you, and they will tell you, all the Eagles of that year, I was unstoppable because I had a purpose. So every time I looked at that picture, it filled me with fuel. I was motivated. I let go of disappointments quickly. I kept looking for new ideas. I kept pressing forward. If your pictures don't fill you with that kind of reaction, you need to go back and think about, why does it matter most to you? Because your why is your fuel. It's going to focus you on everything that you do. Think about, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? People sometimes say to me today, why are you still working? Well, because school fees, number one, are £12,000 a term. But like Adam did the countdown, I'll have 5 terms left for my older son. Yes, woo, indeed. But when I think about, the legacy I want to leave, and this is something that, Rex has developed in his culture. What do you want to be remembered for? The legacy I want to be remembered for is having made a difference, having made a contribution. And yes, I've got some very successful leaders in my team. And, profit share, or chairman's bonus, new cars. But I look to our new leaders, our future leaders. And then you see them on the left-hand side. And you saw Sarah recognized as manager today. Now, if you go about, Jenny, who's, from an equestrian background. Both her and her husband work really hard. And she calls it, all they do is jam. They just about manage. And when I look at Jenny and her eyes sparkle with the hope that actually this business is going to give them a better quality of life, I find that inspiring. What legacy do you want to leave? When I think about Rachel, she's a teacher. She's standing next to Jenny in the top picture. Her husband has just given up his job to work forever full-time. These people are deep in my business, but that's my legacy. Because had I given up in my first year when I was earning £150 a month going nowhere, none of those people would be here today. What drives you? Here are my 2 sponsored children in Uganda. I've sponsored them now for 13 years. They're now in boarding school in Uganda, which I paid for, getting ready for university there. That's a legacy. I wish I was one of these clever people who could save a gazillion kids. I don't know how to do that, but I saved 2. And that's good for me. And that makes me proud. And when I think about what's hard, is it worth it? Yeah, because I know the promise I'm working towards, so I'm willing to pay the price. When I think about legacy, I said to you, all I wanted was to really give my boys a better start in life. And here they are, they're young men, they're nearly 14 and 16 and a half years old. I told you I have to lose a decade somewhere. And when I look at my boys today, I feel so proud. Because I have been able to give them those unique experiences, those rare opportunities. I've been able to give them the things that they need, not what we can afford. And it's simple things like braces. How many kids don't have braces today? Or have crap braces? And when I look at them and I think, yeah, the price was easy when I look back, because I was clear about what I wanted. Are you that clear that you're willing to pay the price? Because if you know the what and you get clear about the why, you take all the action you need to take. Your sponsor, upline manager, no longer have to push you to do a 7-day plan. They no longer have to push you to review your activity tracker, to get you to come to a success day. You're going to book your ticket before they book their ticket. But people struggle with this bit, the action bit, because they haven't got emotionally connected to why that goal is important to them. They don't feel unstoppable. They feel like they're being dragged along. And you can't build an empire with a feeling of I'm being dragged along. You've got to come from I'm unstoppable. You'll embrace the tools, you'll embrace the CDs, you'll embrace the training. And so when you look at where your time is going, your 8 hours of stuff, I want to recommend Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Network Marketing Professionals and The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson to help you make the most of your 8 hours if you're still working and like me, you still need 8 hours sleep. Because you have only got a short amount of time. It has got to be channeled in the right activity to change your direction, to have your best year. You've got to do something different to get something different. And it starts with your why, which brings focus. It starts with what you're doing with your time and the activity that you're taking. It is that simple. There is no magic formula. There is no different marketing plan. Successful people will plan their time in detail. And this is just an example. And I know in my experience, most people might do a detailed weekly schedule once or twice, and by week 3 they've given up. And they've given up because they've not taken the time to get clear about why they want it in the first place. Your time and what you do is the difference between being successful and not successful. And you can decide what to do with your time. So when I think about what your journey is going to look like when you're identifying your why, you're getting focused and investing your time in the right place. I am very naive sometimes, and I always then expect it to look like this. So when I got really clear about my goal in September and why it was important to me, I thought it was all going to be plain sailing. But it's not. It doesn't change the fact that you're going to have challenges and things are not going to go to plan. What will change is the attitude that you have as you work through that journey. Success is not a straight line. It's never going to be a straight line. But if the promise is clear, you will stay on that path and you won't get knocked off. So when you think about 2018 and having your best year yet, for me it starts with, well, actually, what drives you? December is the perfect time. I have already started to think about my goals for next year. I've identified the what's I want to achieve, but I'm still working on the why I want to achieve it. I'm not going to jump from the what to the how. I know I'm not yet crystal clear about the why it's important to me. And I won't do my next vision board until I'm really crystal clear about that why, because I know once that why is in place, you can move mountains. And not only that, your team will be inspired to do what you're doing. So to have your best year yet, well, think about 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the things that you did do. So throw off the bow line, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. I know if you just follow these few simple steps, you can put your business in a completely different direction, and you can do it with a smile on your face and a great attitude and attract some amazing people into your business. So from the bottom of my heart to all of you, I wish you 2018 your best year yet. But just focus on the why, and you'll put your time in the right activity. So with that, I wish you your best year yet.